Good evening. The Invercargill District Council is considering bringing an injunction against an aluminium reprocessing factory that's troubling residents in the nearby suburb of Gladstone. The local Anglican vicar made an impassioned plea for the residents at a council meeting last night, but the issue was far from simple, as Michael Lynch reports.
The total sum of human misery in the community outweighs any financial constraints that our complaints may be measured against.
Impassioned words indeed. And only another chapter in a knotty problem that's been bedeviling the Southland District Council for months. This aluminium reprocessing factory, say dozens of people in the nearby and highly rated suburb of Gladstone, emits a deep subsonic vibration. It works around the clock, reworking waste products from the TY smelter. And they can't sleep.
My family is at screaming point. If the operation of this plant continues, then as a responsible family man, I have no option but to remove my family from the source of irritation and leave my home. That is already an option being undertaken by other people.
But the factory says it's tried everything and it tests out clean. Company representatives won't be interviewed, but they showed us the process, basically a drying and sieving system. They're not breaking any laws, they want to help, but as yet, there's no one even expert enough to pinpoint the noise, and the council is caught in the middle.
I can't make any comment about this at this stage for the simple reason that the council is making all kinds of investigation and exploring avenues how to resolve the whole issue, one way or another.
Is it difficult?
Of course it's difficult.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
The Reverend Marsh says his next step is to call in the Almighty.
Police will scale up their search tomorrow for a man who's been missing from Queenstown since early on Sunday. 20-year-old Larry Mills was last seen at a party, and the police will question a large number of the party goers. They say they don't necessarily believe there's been foul play, but they're concerned for his safety because it's out of character for the missing man not to have contacted anyone. Otago University has released drawings of a $30 million building it's planning to increase research and teaching space. The split-level commerce building would be 10 stories at its highest point. Approval for the construction still needs to come from the University Council later this month. Many students disapprove of it already, objecting to the demolition of an old house that stands in its way. They've petitioned to save this house and have even suggested having the commerce building constructed around number 66 Clyde Street. Ever wanted to see the dirty bits in the cracks of a 50-cent coin? Well, soon you'll be able to delve into that or almost any other obscure corner that takes your fancy. It'll be made possible when the Otago Museum's new Exploratorium opens, and although work's running a bit behind time, it's well on the way to becoming reality. Alan Baddock with a progress report.
It may not look much as yet. In fact, it definitely doesn't look much as yet. But the signs of progress on the museum's great leap into the 21st century are there. The raw building work of converting the former museum auditorium into a science adventureland was to have been finished last month. It's now hoped it'll be done this month. Work will then be able to start on wiring in the 40-odd computer terminals intended to open up the world of science to the region's young. The high-tech gear, which was brought from Auckland's collapsed Microworld Centre, has been modified and repackaged to suit the museum's needs, and come next December there should be a whole array of these machines ready to show us things we've never seen before, like the scales of a butterfly's wing. Or how about this? It's a feather from a hummingbird, magnified about 130 times. Or if you're not impressed by our natural history documentaries, you can come down here and make your own. Project coordinator John Darby says there are all sorts of other things that now become a possibility at the museum.
We have some material here in the museum, say for instance our coin collection, which some items are so valuable that we could never ever put them on display. But it's going to be possible for us to cable this type of monitor through to our strong room, which we're not going to tell you where it is, up to 300 meters, 300, 400 meters away. And by doing that, we can show you some gold coins, for instance, that you will never ever see otherwise. We'd just be scared to put them on display. But by our video monitor, yeah, we can do it.
And for those of you hanging out for a look at the dirty bits in a 50-cent coin, here's a sneak preview to keep you going until December.
Otago Rugby was given a big boost today with the announcement that Speight's Brewery will sponsor the union's open grades over the next 3 years. And as Kathy Graham reports, some of the money is being set aside to give a long overdue boost to country rugby teams.
Back in the 60s and 70s, Otago rugby teams boasted lots of country players. They learned to ruck and run in friendly games like these. Those who set their sights higher went on to play for the province, or, like Lindsay Colling, even to wear the silver fern. Not these days. This season, only 2 players hail from the country.
It's a significant loss, really, because it used to always be said that when Otago country rugby was strong, Otago rugby was strong. It's probably fair to say now that that cycle has changed, but we're always very interested and keen to obtain what players we can from the country, because one of the strengths they have is that they're usually loyal Otago born and bred people and are very likely to remain in Otago.
Otago's new sponsors also want to see country rugby get more support.
Well, part of the agreement is that a certain portion of the sponsorship will go directly towards country rugby, sub-union rugby in general, and of course Speight's is not only confined to the urban areas, it is also confined to rural as well.
Speight's say their sponsorship, believed to be somewhere around $1 million over 3 years, will not go to teams underage.
The reason we haven't sponsored the younger teams is the fact that we don't want to have an association with young people and drink, but the grades that we have sponsored have a very mature attitude towards alcohol, and we see no problem with that.
More than a century of art in Otago is on display at the Otago Art Society in Dunedin. The 1990 retrospective exhibition includes paintings from as early as 1876, and many of them add a new life to history. It's a very nice item. We'll be back tomorrow. Good night.